Hey everybody, welcome to the Home of Crypto. So today what I want to do is cover Bitcoin, some of the altcoins, and just give you a quick rundown of some of my favorite altcoins and where some of the target lies. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so first and foremost, we're looking at Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is experiencing a little bit of a pullback, and this is expected, like I've said last time, is that if you were to draw a line between all the highs that we have experienced before in May and April of 2021, and then again in November of 2021, those, if you were to connect the tops of those two, it lines up approximately where $91,000 of Bitcoin would be. And that's where we're experiencing a pullback. So this is, in my opinion, is very healthy, is very normal, and it's what you're expected to see. We have seen this kind of move before. Now, what I'm looking out for, or what you should all be looking out for, is that the fact that we went up to the highs, and if we experience something like this, something like chop, sideways chop, even downside a little bit to like maybe $80,000 as a pullback, it's totally fine. But as long as we're forming that bull flag that we talked about. Now, what I want to do is go back in history and kind of show you what I'm talking about, right? So let's take a look at approximately the same time frame in October 2023. So we had a move to the upside, then we had sideways action, right? That's forming a bull flag, right? So it looks like a flag. So there he's forming a bull flag, then followed by another leg up to the upside, and then sideways consolidation or chop. And then another leg to the upside, sideways consolidation and chop, and then just continues, right? So that tells you that this is a sustained move. It's nothing to be surprised. And when you are in a bull market, in crypto bull market specifically, these kind of moves and these kind of wicks are totally expected, just like what we have seen here. We had huge sideways chop for quite a long time before we made that break to the upside. Now, I've seen a lot of people telling me, why is altcoins not catching up to Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of them, right? Altcoins will catch up. Altcoins usually are, I would say, about 2 to 3 weeks behind. And the fundamental case for that is, what usually happens is that when there's a lot of VCs and a lot of investors involved that have been holding Bitcoin for a very long time, and they see Bitcoin move, and then it gets to this period where it's kind of sideways chop, not doing a whole lot. What happens is that money moves into a riskier and riskier and riskier asset down that curve. So, at the latter end of the move for this entire cycle is that we're going to see like the meme coins just explode to the upside. That basically tells you that, okay, this entire cycle of the upside is actually coming to an end. So that is healthy. And the fact that we're seeing this sideways consolidation is healthy for Bitcoin as well. So what I want to do is actually cover what I'm trying to cover is basically the top 10, top 15 uh, uh, of some of these altcoins. And I don't necessarily want to go down the risk curve very further down. And then I'll also give you some of my targets that I have. Now, if anybody has questions, they could just put a comment in the comment below, and I'll do my best to cover that. But we'll cover the market overall. So the market cap is 2.995 trillion. We're looking at fear and greed index at approximately 83. This is also expected in this time range, this time of the cycle. We'll just kind of go over the top three, top four, top five, and I'll go down the line. And if anybody has anything that they want me to cover, just again, put it in the comment below and I'll do my best to cover that. So we'll take a look at ETH/USD. Now, ETHUSD have had this funny little feeling that ETHUSD will not perform. It sort of fell off as a favorite altcoin for a very long time now. What I am seeing is that we are kind of seeing this wedge pattern that's formed. Wedge patterns act more like a spring. So whenever you have a spring that you push and hold down for a very long time and you let go, you get that explosive move, right? You're either going to get an explosive move to the upside or to the downside. Now, whenever you have a wedge pattern like this, where it's in the cycle that's more bullish to the upside, the expected move is to the upside. But the fact that it has not performed just like some of the other altcoins would, or what you expect, or it has historically performed like, it gives me the idea that it shows me that there's not a lot of conviction and a lot of money flowing. People could talk a lot, but none of this matters. What matters is charts. And the reason charts matter is because there's money behind these wicks. These are not just like random wicks that take place. This is money. And money, you follow the money to kind of tell you where things are going to go. And the fact that it's been acting like this, it's been very weak relatively to some of the altcoins that I'll just show. So this was a witch pattern that I would expect to have already broken out now because Bitcoin has already broken out. But I'm not expecting that it would catch up to Bitcoin moves, but at least break out of this witch pattern. So, but ETH has not done that. So it could change. It could change. But if Bitcoin takes a little bit of breather and does sideways chop where there's any kind of fear, I am expecting ETH to like really crash back down to approximately that $2,000 or $2,100. So keep an eye on that. But if the market is really bullish and it really pulls to the upside and there's crazy moves, then sure, I could expect ETH to kind of catch up with the rest of the market. But it does not really look very healthy. So if I had like let's say $10,000, $20,000 and I was to bet on an altcoin other than Ethereum, other than Bitcoin, or any crypto other than Bitcoin, I would not necessarily bet on ETH. Okay, so let's move on to Sol USD. So like just we talked about, right? So look, Sol USD. It looks the same as Bitcoin. We had the huge move and then consolidation sideways and break out of that range. That's what I would like to expect to see for ETH as well if I was to remain bullish on ETH. But the fact that it has not done that and Solana has, I'm more bullish on Solana than I am on ETH. And my target still remains at 260. That's target number one. So, but if we break out of that target number one, I think it gets into what's known as price discovery, and price discovery for asset like Solana in a bull market could honestly be anywhere. But my end of year 2025 target, or somewhere between in 2025, remains somewhere between $700 to $800 as a actually reasonable target for Solana. I ultimately think Solana will take over ETH market cap, and that's nothing surprising. So if you look at, let's take a look at ETH market cap. ETH market cap right now is at 365 billion, and Solana is at 100 billion, almost 100 billion. So some couple millions off. So what I am expecting that Solana is most likely going to triple in price than ETH taking over Bitcoin. That's never going to happen. But what most likely will happen is that Solana will catch up to ETH, if not even overtake ETH. So that's something to keep an eye on. And these are some of the targets. And the fact that we are breaking out and it's a bullish pattern, I am expecting sideways chops consolidation. Usually, Solana is behind Bitcoin by about a week or two. So once Bitcoin gets to a good place and is just forming that nice bull flag, sideways consolidation, the stock market is happy and money's flowing in there, and so it's generally not a lot of fear. Solana will perform or even outperform Bitcoin and catch up to that. So that's another altcoin that I want to take a look at and cover. We'll also move on to Cardano. So Cardano has recently been catching up, and that's so one of the reasons that it's been doing well relatively is because they just got listed back on Robinhood, and as we all know, speculation lives on Robinhood. So it is a positive step to get more money flowing into assets like Solana, Cardano. So, and we're, right up against that resistance. I am expecting to see a little bit of a pullback and then break out. Once we do break out of that range, I think my target remains, first target would be 85 cents, and then the second target remains at $1.25. I honestly don't think that Cardano will hit all-time highs. And again, the reason is that there's not a whole lot that's going on that will convince both the investors, the VCs, or any believers and that there's a lot of movement going on, unless Charles Hoskins really catch up on some of the promises that he had made and prove to the investors that he can deliver. Um, if that's the only saving grace for Cardano at this point. Sorry, Cardano fans, but that's what it looks like. All right, let's take a look at XRP. The same thing with XRP, right? So XRP just got listed. Let's take a look at this. XRP just got listed again on Robinhood. So this price action that we're seeing right now is exactly what we've seen before. So every time there's like a great news around XRP, and it's in a position to attract more money, of course, these assets are going to pump to the upside. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we have this huge resistance for XRP that we have had before multiple times, and this is a strong resistance. So you've had this, you've touched this resistance before and had to pull back. Um, the one thing that I'm worried more about XRP than the rest of the assets is that's performing more like Stellar. It's performing more like a stable coin rather than an altcoin. So I would not necessarily be putting more money into XRP and expecting to see 5, 6, or 10x returns. The best it can honestly do would be 2 to 3x. So keep an eye on that. Again, sorry, XRP fans as well. I know there's a huge XRP army, and I do not want to upset them. But this is what the charts are telling me, and there's no emotions or any of that stuff involved. It just basically tells me charts. Again, charts and candles on a chart tells you where the money is. And if there's no money, you can't push money. You can't force money in there. You can't make something look better than it is. It's just what it is. So keep that in mind as you invest. Now, one thing that I do have a lot of conviction in, it would be SUI USD. And again, the charts is telling me everything I need to know, right? So we had this resistance that we broke out of. Again, something that we have seen with Solana as well, right? We broke out of that resistance, and now we're kind of consolidating or sideways chop action that we have seen before. The bull flag again, sideways consolidation, and then move to the upside. So that's what's happening again, and we could see a huge move to the upside. Honestly, I would not be surprised to see Sui at, I don't know, like $10, $15 at the all-time highs of the this particular cycle. So if you look at the market cap of Sui, the market cap of Sui is $10 billion. So when I say I would not be surprised to see a 3 to 4x move or 5x move. That means it gets up to $50 billion. So do I think honestly it has the case to replace Dogecoin? Absolutely it does. It really has the fundamental case. Like unlike Dogecoin is just a meme coin. This has fundamentals. This has tons of VCs. This has an actual use case, and it's trying to or promising, and that it has the ability to replace Solana. So that's where the money comes in, right? So when a chain has the capacity to process transaction fees of like, I don't know, one tenth or one hundredth of a penny or dollar, then most of the companies or most of the investors or programmers, whatever the developers, they're willing to process these transactions at a much cheaper fees on something like Sui and Solana versus something like ETH. So if you were to process a transaction using ETH, you'd be paying like $4, $5, $6, and you have to wait 10, 15 minutes for confirmation finality, right? But something like Sui and Solana does that for one tenth or one hundredth of a dollar or a penny, and then has almost instantaneous finality confirmation. So that's where I think the theme is of this bull cycle, and that's where I think the money is going to flow. So keep an eye on that. Don't sleep on this. I definitely think that we could expect somewhere around $10, $15. In the highs of this bull market. The next thing that I would like to cover is AVAX. Even though I really like AVAX, but I have to be honest, it has not performed as that I was expecting that it would do. We had this huge channel that we were in. We broke out of that. I was expecting that we just tested that and then we would move to the upside. But what it has done is been just sideways chop. Recently, we've experienced this a little bit of flag But again, it's consolidating sideways, right? So it is one of my bets. I do feel like it will get to that $100 by the end of the bull cycle. But it's something to keep an eye on. So if I do see that money rotation from Bitcoin into altcoins, then AVAX would be definitely one of my bets. So my first target for AVAX would be just the recent highs of that $65. The second target is the all-time highs. So keep an eye on this, and then we'll cover Doge again with Elon Musk hitting the Department of Efficiency, which kind of acronym is like Doge. Um, in things like that, when you have that sort of conviction and that sort of community behind something like a meme coin like Dogecoin, it's hard to bet against it, because again, it's the price action, it's the money flow that dictates the price action, and that ultimately dictates the success of these things. So yes, I think that'll get all time highs. Absolutely, definitely will, especially at the craze of the bull market. But is it one of my long term convictions? I don't think so. So if you look at this trend that we had in place, we broke out of that with a ton of volume and great price action. Now we're experiencing a little bit of sideways consolidation. Again, that's all normal. That's expected to see, and then we see break to the upside. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you look at Stellar, it reminds me of exactly how Dogecoin um, performed. So we did have that sideways consolidation for a very long time, and I honestly think that this was the breakout. So this was, in my opinion, the breakout. If you connect these highs, so I ultimately think that it will hit all-time highs as well, again, because it's on Robinhood, it's on most centralized exchanges. That's where people have access to these things. That's where the money's going to flow into. And usually what Stellar has done in the past as well is that Bitcoin, like, how we've seen Bitcoin move first, then some of the greater altcoins move, and then some of the meme coins would move. So with Stellar and Dogecoin, what I've seen is that Dogecoin move first, then a week or 2 to 3 weeks later, Stellar follows. So this is also something to keep an eye on. Next thing that I'd like to cover is macro strategies. I've covered that before as well. We've had an insane move to the upside and a pullback, a little bit of sideways consolidation. We have had this before as well with macro strategies. So we've had a pullback of 16, 17%. And the recent pullback that we just saw was from 380 down to 319. So that's about approximately 17%. Now we're kind of doing the exact same thing that we talked about. Sideways chop. Nice to see MicroStrategies back at 294 or even 300 for confirmation before we make the move to the upside. Now, the other thing that I wanted to cover was Coinbase. So just like we talked about, right? So Coinbase had that move. Coinbase came back down, tested its support, and now it's actually breaking out again, or bouncing off of that support. With Coinbase, if you look on a bigger time scale, it's forming a cup and handle formation. Cup and handle formation are a very strong bullish formation or consolidation that most likely will break to the upside as well. The chances of success from a cup and handle to break to the upside are approximately somewhere between 75 to 85%. So this is something to keep an eye on. And if bull market continues for crypto assets, Coinbase will outperform. This is one of the most famous centralized exchanges that also serves as a custodian for Bitcoin. And a lot of the investors that are fearful of investing in crypto would most likely put their money into something like Bitcoin. So traditional investors from stock market and people from crypto assets are all going to be more comfortable investing in something like Bitcoin rather than buying an altcoin that they don't know how to buy, how to sell, how to custody themselves. So keep an eye on something like Coin. I think Coin will outperform for sure, and so will MicroStrategies. MicroStrategy is acting more like a meme coin, so it's very risky. But again, high risk, high reward. Okay, everybody. So this pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover. Actually, one more thing that I wanted to cover. was SHIB, because SHIB is also on uh, um, Robinhood. Again, it's running into that wedge pattern. I think we're probably going to consolidate sideways here and have that explosive move to the upside. So keep an eye on this. It's one of my conviction plays as well. However, I've not necessarily put a lot of money in here, but this is one of the meme coins that I would bet on. And so would be Bonk. And the reason I am betting on Bonk is a Solana meme coin. And just like we have seen that, resistance, it just broke out of that with an insane volume. There's a lot of conviction in Bonk as well. Bonk was one of the first meme coin from Solana. So that's you would say the OG, right? That's where most of the money is as well, and I definitely think it's going to hit all-time highs and even higher. So that's another thing to watch. And I'm also looking at Caspa USD. Now, Caspa, I have higher conviction on than a lot of the other altcoins, and the only reason for that is that Caspa is more like Bitcoin. It has its halving cycles. It had a fair launch where the VCs did not have a ton of influence or a ton of money. Um, in Caspa, that would dictate the price. This is not an insane price movement to the upside, but it's a very sustainable move that will gradually move to the upside as well. And again, the reason being that it's a fair launch, you're not going to get VCs just dumping on you. There's a lot of money and has been made really nice sustained move to the upside, even through the bear market. So from the lows of the bear market, even up to now that we have pulled back, that's like 12, 1300%. So where do I see Caspa in about a year? I actually see Caspa somewhere around $2 to $3. Or even higher. This is a convection play. There's a tech behind it. There's fundamental case to be made for Caspa. It's not a meme coin. You're not going to see explosive moves either to the upside or to the downside, but it's a sustained move that there's a tech that supports the move. So keep an eye on all the stuff that we just talked about. And if you have any questions, comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you. All right. Thanks, everybody.